My name is Erin Shields. I'm an assistant research scientist here at the Chesapeake Bay National Estuarine Research Reserve in Virginia. So I am a seagrass scientist. I've been monitoring seagrass,
which are underwater flowering plants that live in the coastal oceans,
on the reserve for about 17 years now. Our reserve's been monitoring eelgrass out here since 2004. And what we have started to see is the river water and the water in all of Chesapeake Bay is warming at quite an alarming rate. So we're seeing more frequent heat wave events. We're seeing just generally warmer summers overall.
Our coasts and estuaries are warming at a rate too rapid for many species to keep up with.
And that's causing some large-scale die-offs in the eelgrass population.
One particular species, eelgrass or Zostera marina, a type of seagrass, are unable to deal with the rapidly warming temperatures and as a result are declining.
And that's because eelgrass is a temperate species. So we're actually near the southern limits of its range where we are right now. And so we've seen a lot of declines over the more recent years because of warming water temperature.
However, there are some populations that seem to have a little bit more temperature resilience than others.
In North Carolina, where it grows at the southern limit of its distribution, they have warmer water temperatures than we have here, but they're not seeing these same large-scale declines that we're seeing.
Our research hopes to identify what those resilience mechanisms are within the plants and then actually see if we can translate figuring out those mechanisms into increasing overall seagrass restoration and resilience.
We're really looking at two components of eelgrass resiliency to climate change. So we're looking at their genomic diversity, both neutral and adaptive, and we're also looking at sexual reproduction. And we're going to incorporate what we learn about that in year one into a reciprocal transplant experiment to see if the North Carolina plants are more heat tolerant and can survive the warm summers up here. We're also bringing Virginia seeds down there, and that'll give us an idea of, if the Virginia seeds do well down there, well, maybe it's not just water temperature, but there's, some other environmental issues at play. So, in order to do the transplant experiment, we need their seeds. We need eelgrass seeds. Dr. Jesse Jarvis and Dr. Stephanie Kamel at UNC Wilmington are doing the North Carolina sampling, and we're up here doing the Virginia sampling. We just wrapped up our May sampling month that in both states, eelgrass produces their flowering shoots. So we've been out here collecting shoots. And then storing them in tanks where they will drop their seeds, and then we'll collect the seeds and then plant them in the fall.
Our hope is that the results of this research will help increase overall effectiveness and resiliency within restored seagrass meadows and maybe even increase the overall success of seagrass restoration.
This project is great because it brings in our end users at the beginning.
Yeah, so we've been working with some local state agencies as well as some national partnerships.
It's no longer a matter of building it and they will come. It's a matter of working with them through the process to ensure that what we're building is serving them.
So we have an end user advisory group that we've been meeting with. It consists of, in Virginia, some state agencies, Virginia Marine Resource Commission, Chesapeake Bay Program, in North Carolina, the North Carolina Division of Marine Fisheries, the Albemarle-Pamlico National Estuary Partnership, and then some more national Northeast partners with the Smithsonian Environmental Research Center and the National Park Service. And also our reserve, the Chesapeake Bay Reserve, is an end partner end user because we're rapidly losing our eelgrass beds on our reserve, and that's ultimately what we're working towards with this project, is trying to establish a more resilient eelgrass population so we have that really valuable resource still available on our reserve.
This project directly addresses one of CB Near Virginia's key management needs, namely to evaluate seagrass bed resiliency in response to changes under future climate and water quality scenarios, along with innovative ways to facilitate seagrass resilience in the York River estuary and nearby systems. These data can be used to inform management and restoration of seagrass throughout the Chesapeake Bay, and our reserve is well positioned to be a leader in this critical challenge.
Collaborative science drives broader impacts.
Because it's awesome, amazing critters live there. They provide habitat for a whole bunch of really cool species. Not just cool to look at, but commercially important species as well. Out here, we have the blue crabs, and just a lot of juvenile fish take refuge in those eelgrass beds. They're a huge carbon sink, so they take a lot of carbon out and bury it, in the sediment. Shoreline protection, they can baffle waves, and then they clear up the water because they trap the sediment. So lots of reasons. Not just because they're pretty to look at.